नमस्कार, सलाम, याली मदद, सत श्री अकाल, हेलो टू कैलगरी। आप सबका स्वागत है हमारे प्रोग्राम कैलगरी फोकस में। मैं आपका होस्ट, आपका दोस्त अमृत बराड़ आप सबका स्वागत करता हूं और आशा करता हूं कि आप सब खुश होंगे, मस्त होंगे, व्यस्त होंगे और स्वस्थ होंगे। और आने वाले टाइम के लिए भी हमारी पूरी टीम की तरफ से आपके लिए यही शुभकामनाएं। कैलगरी सिटी धीरे धीरे ग्रो हो रही है और स्पेशली यहाँ पे जो घर हैं वो बहुत ज़्यादा बन रहे हैं अगर आप बात करें नॉर्थ ईस्ट कैलगरी की। लेकिन इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर एक बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट फैक्टर है उन नए घरों के लिए। घर तो नए बन रहे हैं, बट डू वी हैव इनफ things around us where we can enjoy those new houses? For example, parks or recreational places where you can go and play some sports. बच्चों के लिए स्कूल, क्या ऐसी चीज़ें वहाँ बन रही हैं जो कि हमारे लिए कारगर साबित हों आने वाले टाइम में? आई डोंट थिंक सो। एक बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट फैक्टर जो उन घरों के लिए और उन घरों को जो बाकी सिटी से जोड़ता है वो है सिटी रोड्स। रोड्स जो हैं, जो रोड है वो एक बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट पार्ट है किसी भी न्यू कम्युनिटी का जुड़ने का, एक मेन एरिया से, मेन रोड से। उसी बारे में बात करने के लिए आज हमारे साथ आए हैं डायरेक्टर जो कि हैं सिटी रोड्स के, मिस्टर ट्रॉय मैक्लाउड। आइए उनसे बातचीत करते हैं और जानते हैं कि ये जो रोड्स का सिस्टम है कैलगरी के अंदर वो कैसे वर्क करता है। सर, वेलकम टू द शो।
Thank you, Mr. Ahmed.
Sir, we are so grateful to you for your time. You always, are there to support the community, to support the good messages and the clear-cut information which should go to the public. We are very thankful to you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, the basic reason for today's program is that we want to talk about that how the road department works in Calgary. People are coming from all over the world and also from different provinces within Canada to Alberta, and especially Calgary. If you see this year there has been a significant boom in house industry and people have bought a lot of houses and at very high prices also. A lot of investors have come to Calgary and invested in this part of the world. Right now, the basic thing to make a house is, everybody knows, okay, you have a developer and you have a builder and they make a house and you can live in that. But the major part is the connectivity of that house to the city. That is where your department comes in, and it is very, I know you since so many years and I've seen so much growth in a lot of departments where you work with, especially with Calgary Parking Authority. Now we want you to tell us few things or clarify few things which people are not clear of.
Sure.
To start with, sir, who is responsible for maintenance of all the roads which are there in Calgary? And secondly, are all these roads comes under the city program, or there are certain roads which comes under provincial program also?
Okay, well first, welcome to those that have moved to Calgary. It's a great community to live,
of course, sir.
Work and play. And so as far as the road maintenance, majority of roads are maintained by the city of Calgary. There are some roadways that the province maintains, so Stony Trail and Deerfoot Trail are maintained by the province. So those roadways are higher classification roadways. The facilities we look after are the majority of roads in the system, over 16,800 lane kilometers of road in the city that we look after. And we also have partnerships with other groups such as developers who build the infrastructure and then hand it over to the city at a certain point once the area is developed.
How much time it usually takes before the city takes over from the developer? Like if any community is made, for example, we take Redstone or Skyview or Cornerstone. So, and there is a new area which is built, right? So how much time it takes the city to take over that particular area?
So there isn't a specific set amount of time, but it's in about a 2-year window in when things start to be built in an area, such as the sidewalks and the pavement. Houses start getting built. At a certain point, it gets handed over to the city. The city of Calgary then maintains that infrastructure, the street lights, the traffic signals, the signs, those types of things. But at one point there's a development created, then there's different stages, and then the city takes over that infrastructure.
Right, sir. Can you give one example, like which are the roads which are under provincial, say for example in Northeast?
Sure. So for the Northeast, the City of Calgary looks after Mcleod Boulevard, Métis Trail, Country Hills Boulevard. The province looks after roads that are on the north-south would be Deerfoot Trail, as well as Stoney, that goes both north-south and east-west.
Okay. What about the airport trail?
Airport Trail is maintained by the City of Calgary. We also have an arrangement with the airport authority because the road goes underneath the runway.
Right.
We maintain that infrastructure as well, so we make sure it's vented, we make sure there's lighting, there's a number of systems that are operated in the tunnel. We look after that as well.
The second part of this, the first question is, sir, if you take an example of the airport trail.
Right.
So we go under the tunnel, say we're going from Stoney towards the Deerfoot, right? We go under the tunnel where the runway is. There is a lot of development going on over there, like new bridges are coming in.
Yeah.
All that is taken care by the city roads?
Yeah, so the City of Calgary with the airport authority had some agreements made to build those interchanges that you see now that really provides a great corridor for businesses and for all citizens to use along that roadway, along Airport Trail. But those interchanges are being built by the City of Calgary in partnership with the airport so that those facilities can then be in the future very effective for movement of goods as well as getting people to and from the airport.
That's great, sir. Now, people have specific questions. So can we talk about that, sir?
Sure.
Perfect. So there is an intersection which says, which comes from Stoney and it goes to the Country Hill Boulevard. And there is no traffic signal from Stoney when we turn left on Country Hill Boulevard. Why does that? Why we can't put traffic signal over there?
Right. So that intersection is operated by the province of Alberta. Because it's on Stoney Trail, and so the province is looking into that intersection. They're evaluating it, and after their evaluation, if they decide to build a traffic signal, it will be constructed. We have a very similar process for all of the intersections in the City of Calgary. We evaluate it through a warrant system to determine whether an intersection be stop controlled or have a signal or have a pedestrian device like you see those rapid flashing beacons.
Right.
We use a system to evaluate all intersections in the city, and the province does the same thing for the intersections that they operate.
About the traffic signals, we'll talk in a little bit later, sir, because we have a lot of questions about that. Now, let's talk about the roads where it's in, and I'm talking especially about the new areas because the old areas, they are already being into effect and people are using those roads quite a lot. Now the new area, the road is made and after some time it is like bended or it shrinks or it goes down a little bit. So it will be the responsibility of the developer to make that, or they will just wait that after certain couple of years when it is handed over to the city, then the city will take care of it?
Yeah, so what happens is first the utilities go in, so all the pipes and all the infrastructure needed to support the development go in first. The roads are constructed in two stages. There's the first level of the roadway that gets put in, and you'll notice there's it looks like it's unfinished to the curb. There's a bit of a lip that you see adjacent to the curb. That road stays that way for anywhere from a year to 2 years before a top lift pavement goes in, and that's done by the developers. The developer is a great partner in building our city because they go and they build this infrastructure. They do it in a staged approach, and then they hand it over to the city to maintain for eternity, really, but 80 years in the future. We go in to do life cycle upgrades on these roads. So after 10 to 20 years, we'll come in and resurface that road, but that is handed over to the city ultimately. But the developer helps the city by building this infrastructure to begin with.
And at certain point, that particular road will be taken care by the city roads, right?
It'll be handed over through a process where we call final acceptance certificate, and we accept that infrastructure and we take over and maintain that infrastructure into the future. Yeah.
Now we spoke about that particular intersection from Stony to Country Hills Boulevard, right, sir? And you said it is under provincial jurisdiction.
Right.
Now, how one can contact them? Like, because it is a very crucial place where the traffic signal is needed. So why and how we can contact them, and and which is that particular office where we can tell them that this is needed over there?
Right. Well, there is a contact number that you can contact the province at, and it's either on the web or you can call them as well by phone. You can also contact us at 311,
right,
and we can pass that on to the province. We work very closely with them. They are looking at that intersection right now and evaluating whether it's warranted for a traffic signal. Councillor Dollywall has also reached out to the province to ask them for a review of this intersection, and so they're aware of that location and they are looking into it.
Because if you see, sir, when we are merging from Stony through Mcleod, right, there we have a traffic signal, but that particular signal is missing on Country Hills Boulevard, whereas that is much more needed because now the new community has been is there.
Yeah, it's a it's a developing area, and so there's increased traffic, and we're seeing that congestion happen, and so hopefully we'll see that intersection built in the future for sure.
There is a new intersection coming up on Stony, sir, and we are so thankful to you and your department to bringing that in effect, which will will be from 80th Avenue to Stony, and that will go to, I think, till Hempstead with the new community. But that's a great idea, because that will help a lot of people with going towards offices, and it will save them a lot of time instead of going and taking a route from 96. I'm talking about northeast from 96. Instead, now they can come directly from 80th Avenue to the Stony, right, sir?
Yeah, and that's being reviewed and going in front of our council as far as investment. Obviously, anything over the right-of-way for the province has to be approved by the province of Alberta.
That's great, sir. Another question which people are asking nowadays is that when school opens, right, sir, and there are a lot of zones which are playground zones which are near the schools, right? Who determines the area from where that zone starts, and who determines that particular route, like it should start from this place and finish from this place? Is it city roads or some other department?
So the city of Calgary looks after those evaluations. Typically it's dependent on the land use that's adjacent. So if there's a school or there's play equipment nearby, that is evaluated, and then the boundaries are placed so that that area has that speed reduced zone from 7:30 till 9 p.m. 7 days a week. And we went to that one zone for our whole city rather than having school and playground zones.
Right, sir.
We have just a playground zone, so it's effective 7 days a week. There's no questions about what day it is. It's always in place, and it's evaluated by our staff at the mobility operations, and once they go through their warrant, will determine whether it's required, and if it is, they'll install signs to have it as a protected zone.
And what if somebody wants it a little bit extended? So for example, I give you, sir, there is a school, right? And there is a community around that school. Now, say half a kilometer before the zone starts, and then half a kilometer after school, it ends. Is there any way to extend it? Can it be reevaluated and reevaluated and see, no, instead of 500 meters, it can be 750 meters. Can that be done?
So we have looked at zones and extended them. Say for a crosswalk, we might have a zone end half a block in, and we extend it to include the crosswalk in that area. So we definitely do evaluate those. If anybody wanted us to look at a zone and see if there is an appropriate extension to that, we would look at that and see if it's warranted. And if so, we would extend those signs to include, say, a crosswalk or whatnot.
Yeah, that was the main thing, sir. There is the school zone starts right after the crosswalk. So they wanted that if the crosswalk can be included.
Sure, we contact 311, let us know of the location that you're having concerns with. Our staff will evaluate it and then let you know whether we can extend it or not.
Amazing. आप देख रहे हैं प्रोग्राम कैलगरी फोकस ऑन पंजाबी नेशनल टेलीविज़न पर। एक छोटा सा ब्रेक लेते हैं और ब्रेक के बाद हम लोग दोबारा हाजिर होते हैं आपके साथ। आज हमारे साथ जुड़े हैं मिस्टर ट्रॉय मैक्लाउड, जो कि डायरेक्टर हैं सिटी रोड्स कैलगरी के। मिलते हैं एक छोटे से ब्रेक के बाद। वेलकम बैक, एक बार फिर से स्वागत हमारे प्रोग्राम कैलगरी फोकस में। हम लोग बातचीत कर रहे हैं सिटी ऑफ कैलगरी की रोड्स के बारे में बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट सेक्टर है, बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट एक हिस्सा है हमारी लाइफ का सिटी रोड्स, क्योंकि जहाँ पे भी हमने जाना है पूरी सिटी में या आउट ऑफ द सिटी, ये रोड्स हमें वहाँ तक लेके जाती हैं। इनकी मेंटेनेंस कौन करता है, इनके देखरेख कौन करता है, किस तरह से हम लोग इन रोड्स को और बेहतर बना सकते हैं, ये हम बातचीत कर रहे हैं आज मिस्टर ट्रॉय मैक्लाउड से, जो कि डायरेक्टर हैं सिटी रोड्स कैलगरी के। सर, वेलकम वंस अगेन टू द शो। Now we talk about a little bit about traffic signals. Those traffic signals are very much needed. Sometimes, you know, people think that there are too many. Some people think that there are too less. So, first of all, you've been in this, you know, in this field for so many years. Have you ever thought, or just as a person, not as a director, that there are less traffic signals or more traffic signals in Calgary?
Yeah, well, traffic signals are a great way to manage intersections as far as providing a safe crossing for pedestrians, providing that access for vehicles. In Calgary, we have over 1,200 traffic signals in our city, which is a significant number, but we have a large city, over 16,000 lane kilometers of roadway in our city. We have a number of devices that we use to serve intersections. So we have roundabouts, traffic signals, we have multi-way stops, and we have yield control intersections, a number of ways to manage traffic. As far as the number of signals, we have the appropriate number of signals for the type of systems and the population we have. We have over 1.3 million people. We serve over 5 million trips a day on our network, and it needs to be managed so that everybody gets a turn and can access the different communities that they need to.
Wow. Troy, sir, the traffic signal, like if any intersection needs that, what are your parameters? Like how you decide that one traffic signal is needed at a particular junction?
Sure. So what we do is we look at the volume of traffic and pedestrians at an intersection and determine, based on that information, the number of lanes that are at that location and the time it takes for people to wait if you didn't put in a signal. So if it becomes an excessive amount of time for somebody to have to wait to cross, or it's unsafe because there's just too much congestion, that determines through some analysis whether a signal is warranted or not. And if it becomes warranted, then we put it into a capital program, we do the construction, and we operate that traffic signal with City of Calgary staff.
Can anybody request for a traffic signal to be placed in a particular area?
Absolutely. So if you wanted to find out if an intersection could be put up at your location or near you, you can contact 311, or you can put a request in through calgary.ca and request that a traffic signal be looked at. Or if you think it needs a multi-way stop, same process, just give us a call. Our staff will evaluate the volumes, they'll take a look at that intersection and determine whether there's an upgrade required for that location, whether it's a signal, whether it's stop signs, or other devices that we can put in to help you get safely wherever you need to go.
Amazing, sir. Certain roads which are kind of bottleneck, like they're single lane, especially when we talk about 96th Avenue, if we talk from merge from Stoney to 96th Avenue and it turns into Airport Trail, sir.
Right.
So that particular section is quite congested. So there have been a lot of complaints and a lot of questions about that particular area. And there is a road which is 68 which join Cornerstone with 96. Are those roads going to be expanded in coming future? So you have any plans under the city?
We do. So there's an investing in mobility plan that determines the network of roadways and what they will ultimately be, as far as 2-lane, 4-lane, or grade separated, like you see those interchanges on Airport Trail. That plan determines when that investment will happen, and City Council approves that plan. Every 4 years there's a budget approval that determines what the capital plan is for this. So the roadways that you're talking about will be widened in the future, but at this point they're obviously a lower classification. They're 2-lane roads in some instances. They will be upgraded to higher facilities such as 2-lane or 4-lane facilities. They'll be upgraded, as well as providing pedestrian and pathway amenities along those roadways.
That's great, sir. Roy, sir, another question where people are asking us is the pedestrian signal, right? There is a signal which you press and everybody stops, and that orange light blinks that somebody wants to cross.
Right.
Now, are there any parameters for those kind of signals to be put on the street, or any person living in a locality feels that okay, that place should have that particular signal for the pedestrians can request?
Right. So how the pedestrian push buttons typically work, most locations on the main road, you push the button to cross the main road because it's really wide. So to get the extra time you need to cross, that push button will allow you, one, to get the walk signal. The walk signal is for your opportunity to step off the road, step off the sidewalk onto the roadway. The flashing hand symbol is the time it takes to cross the entire length of the road, and the solid hand is a clearance period so that the vehicles can clear the intersection before the other direction goes. So the push button really is your opportunity to get the service that you want. On the side streets, typically the walk signal comes up automatically. On the main streets is where you generally have to have a push button.
So can people request for that through 311, or what is the procedure? If somebody, say for example in say Skyview, somebody thinks that this particular junction or four-way stop, there should be that kind of push button signal, can we request that?
Sure. So if you wanted to see an upgrade to an intersection, just contact 311 or go to calgary.ca and submit your request. That location can be reviewed, and then you can get some information back from us whether we will upgrade that location or we have an alternative for that intersection. In some cases, we won't be able to install it based on the volume and the access requirements.
So, but the thing is, at least you will evaluate, like your department will evaluate that if that particular area needs a push button or not, but at least it can be requested, right?
Right, and so there's several devices. One is a stop sign like you requested. Also a rapid flashing beacon, so you push a button and then a light will flash and warn motorists that somebody's wanting to cross. And then there's other intersection upgrades like a traffic signal, and then there's even bridges that we end up building too. Depending on the location, we may install a bridge so you can go right over the facility that you're wanting to cross.
Troy sir, now there has been a lot of questions about sidewalks. A lot of places the sidewalks are broken, they are not properly maintained. Is that area come under city roads also?
It does. So we look after all the sidewalks in the city of Calgary. What happens though is a new community, when it's built, the sidewalk is constructed by the developer. We sign off after about 2 years roughly and accept that sidewalk, and then we maintain it. If you see a sidewalk that has a crack or needs repair, you can contact 311, let us know, we'll go evaluate it. We may patch it, say for the winter, and then come back in the spring and do some further work on that location. Most of our work's done in the summertime, and so if we do upgrades, we'll do that in the summertime. In the winter, we typically only do patching. Sometimes we'll grind a location, or we'll do mud jacking, which lifts the sidewalk up, so that can be done. One of the things we have done is we've undertaken a study to look at our cross-section of sidewalks, and we're looking at an upgrade to that specification so that when the development industry goes in and constructs those sidewalks, they're done to this specification that the City of Calgary has evaluated through this study. And so we'll probably see fewer locations that are cracked or in disrepair going forward with this new specification.
Great, sir. Troy, sir, we talk about the back lanes. A lot of back lanes are gravel. Yep. Right? But when we want to get them paved, the city asks for the money out of that. Right. That was another question which came up. Like why the city wants money from the people who are requiring to pave that particular area?
Sure. So if you have a community where you have a gravel lane and you want to see it upgraded, what we do is we have a petition process where you can have your neighbors sign up to upgrade it to a paved lane. Otherwise, the city will maintain it as a gravel lane. So that's where that extra cost would be. If you wanted to have it, you have your neighbors sign, and then that gets added to their taxes, and it pays for that paved lane. If you want to leave it as a gravel lane, you can, and the city will continue to maintain it as a gravel lane. So there is costs associated with paving. That's why the city's unable to go and pave alleys. We have a process. If neighbors want to have their alley paved, they can go through the petition process.
Troy, sir, you have really explained it in a very elaborated manner. We are so thankful to you because there are so many questions which are unanswered and people don't get the real answer from. I'm sorry to say, but when they call 311, maybe they are not able to explain them what exactly they want. At least here you are able to tell everybody how the procedure works. Troy sir, in a lot of countries there are toll taxes on roads. I come from India, and if you go on any highway, you have toll taxes. In US, if you go, even the inner city, inner roads, they have toll taxes which connects from intra-city. Do you think that putting up toll tax can help generate more money to look after the roads and give better facilities to people?
You know what, that is one tool that some jurisdictions have had a lot of success, is using that toll facility. All the funds that are created from that toll then get reinvested in that infrastructure, so it's an effective tool. There are other ways to do that through gas tax, which we receive funds from gas tax that gets invested into transportation and other public amenities. But that's one tool. It certainly is something that could be considered. We don't have any in Canada, or sorry, in Calgary at this point, but it is something that could be looked at into the future. We'd obviously need provincial approval to do that type of thing if we wanted to go ahead.
Because if we talk about, say, snow removal, right, as we were talking before the program, that city of Montreal or other places, they have 5 times more budget than us. Maybe this way, if we can put up, a toll tax somewhere, and that money which is collected can be reinvested for snow plowing and the other maintenance of that particular area. So it can be good and beneficial tool, sir, as you said, but again, it depends on the people and how they react to that, right, sir?
Right. So it's the user pay system through a toll, and so that system then allows that level of service to be at a higher level. Bridges can be constructed. There can be other amenities that are added to facilities through a toll, but there are other ways to get that funding and have that enhanced level of service. So if there is a service level improvement that you'd like to see, the City of Calgary is undergoing its 4-year budget. In November, we'll be talking about what our investments and level of service are for the next 4 years in Calgary. So if you're interested, that will be happening in November.
That's amazing, sir. Troy, sir, thank you so much for your time today, and you gave us so much information. And again, if people have more questions, they can definitely call 311, right, sir?
Absolutely, anytime. Contact 311 or go on calgary.ca and just type in the search, and often their information is there. But if you want, call 311 and an operator will help you.
That's amazing. Troy, sir, it's a festival season, and in India there is a festival which is called Diwali. It is on next Monday, so we wish you and all your staff, your family, your friends a very happy Diwali from our side, from our team, and we always wish that you have a good health and you prosperous more, and you are with us always.
Thank you very much and happy Diwali.
तो आप देख रहे थे प्रोग्राम कैलगरी फोकस। आज हमारे साथ जुड़े थे मिस्टर ट्रॉय मैक्लाउड, जो कि डायरेक्टर हैं सिटी रोड्स के। आई होप ये इन्फॉर्मेशन आपको अच्छी लगी होगी, पसंद आई होगी। अगर आपको कोई भी क्वेश्चंस हो, प्लीज़ कॉल 311 और गो टू calgary.ca, और वहाँ पर आप ये क्वेश्चंस पूछ सकते हैं, इन्फॉर्मेशन ले सकते हैं। और यू कैन कॉल अस, यू कैन ईमेल अस पंजाबी नेशनल के नंबर पर, या हमारी ईमेल पर, हमारे वेबसाइट पर जाकर आप हमें कॉन्टैक्ट कर सकते हैं। एंड वी कैन ऑलवेज कॉन्टैक्ट मिस्टर ट्रॉय मैक्लाउड टू गिव अस द आंसर्स, सो दैट वी कैन हैव द राइट आंसर फ्रॉम द राइट पर्सन। वंस अगेन, हमारी पूरी टीम की तरफ से आपको दिवाली मुबारक, आपके परिवार को, आपके सारे दोस्तों, पूरे माशरे को हमारी तरफ से दिवाली मुबारक। आप खुश रहें, मस्त रहें, और माँ लक्ष्मी आप पे हमेशा कृपा करती रहे, वाहिगुरु आप पे हमेशा मेहर करे। थैंक यू फॉर वॉचिंग प्रोग्राम कैलगरी फोकस ओनली ऑन पंजाबी नेशनल टेलीविज़न। मिलते हैं नेक्स्ट वीक एक नए गेस्ट के साथ, तब तक के लिए टेक केयर।